வணக்கம் மக்களே இனிய புத்தாண்டு வாழ்த்துக்கள் Happy New Year Today's video is going to be a beginner's guide to how to learn Tamil effectively. This guide is for complete beginners who are looking into learning Tamil, teaching themselves Tamil, or if you understand some Tamil but don't know how to speak it. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Before you get started with learning Tamil, you need to be able to answer 3 questions. Why, what, and how. You need to know why you want to learn Tamil so that you can then figure out what to learn and how to learn it. For example, you need to figure out whether you want to learn spoken Tamil or written Tamil. You might first want to decide whether you want to learn Tamil for personal reasons or for work-related purposes. Based on that, you can then narrow down the kind of materials and vocabulary that you need to learn for your own personal goal. More importantly, answering the question why you want to learn Tamil will give you a clear understanding of where you are headed and why you're actually learning the language. If you're not sure whether you want to learn spoken Tamil or written Tamil, check out our upcoming video next week on spoken versus written Tamil to figure out which best suits you. You will also want to decide whether you want to use Tamil script or romanization when learning the Tamil language. I'm always a big fan of learning the Tamil script. Regardless of the language that you are learning, it's always good to learn the script first. However, I can understand that it might be difficult for some of you to spend a lot of time learning Tamil when you're working professionally or you've got a busy schedule. Maybe you're just looking to learn some short phrases to have some basic conversations or small talk in social situations. In that case, it might prove to be better to learn Tamil using romanization. However, if you are serious about learning Tamil language and you want to be a fluent speaker, I would highly recommend learning using the Tamil script. Let's look at what you need to learn. When learning Tamil, you'll be focusing on 4 different skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If you're primarily only interested in spoken Tamil, you will have to start out with speaking and listening. You can learn a lot of Tamil just by listening and speaking and repeating. However, when you learn to read and write in Tamil as well, it will open so many doors and it will give you access to more grammar resources online. So, if you're looking for a short-term solution to speaking Tamil, I would recommend using romanization. You can just use listening and speaking practices to improve your spoken Tamil. However, if you're serious about learning Tamil, looking to be proficient in spoken Tamil, I would definitely recommend working on your reading, writing, as well as your speaking and listening skills. Now, we've come to the most important part, how we're going to go about learning Tamil. My first tip would be to set learning goals. Setting goals is important. It will help you identify what you need to learn and how you go about learning it. A long-term learning goal might be to be able to have a basic conversation with your amma. A short-term learning goal could be learning 10 words this week. Setting goals is also beneficial in measuring your progress over time. An important tip I have for you is making a vocabulary list. Starting now, even if you don't know any Tamil, I would start working on your vocabulary list. Make sure your vocabulary list is relevant. That means the words that you add to your vocabulary list should be usable in everyday conversations and words that you're actually interested in. There is no point adding the word in Tamil for boat if you're never going to use it. Next tip would be to organize your vocabulary list. Just having a long list of 500 words is going to be useless unless you know how to engage with the materials. Putting vocabulary into categories will help you find vocabulary but also make connections between the words. Which brings me to my next point. My next tip would be to not just collect vocabulary, but make sentences using the vocabulary. You're more likely to retain Tamil if you make sentences using the words that you've collected. You're less likely to remember a random word compared to a word that you remember as part of a sentence or a context. Next tip is to use flashcard app. I'm a big fan of Anki. Some of my students also use Quizlet. Apps like Anki and Quizlet let you make your own flashcards. So using a vocabulary list, you can add them and make flashcards, and that will help you revise your vocabulary list. Check out our website tamillanguagecenter.com for a variety of flashcard decks, all for free. Next tip would be to use Google Translate. Now, Google Translate has a lot of bad rep, but I love using Google Translate. As long as you know how to use it, it can be an effective tool. Google Translate is not very accurate when it comes to translating long sentences or passages. However, it's great in translating words. So as a beginner, this can be a very useful tool for you. For example, you could make a note of words that you come across in everyday conversations, or maybe today you just note down book because you want to know what book is in Tamil. If you type in book and translate it in Google Translate, it's quite accurate. However, the problem with Google Translate is that it doesn't translate verb conjugations properly. Because verbs in Tamil are conjugated differently based on person and tense, there is a big difference in written versus spoken Tamil. If you were to translate an English verb into Tamil, you might not get an accurate translation. Another tip I have for you is to download the Tamil keyboard on your phone or computer. Having a Tamil keyboard will allow you to send short messages to your Tamil speakers. You don't need to write a long passage. Even if it's just a phrase a day, it will add to your vocabulary. Next tip, this one is for the serious learners. Allocate time in your calendar on a regular basis to learn Tamil. Setting aside time on a regular basis to engage in Tamil, so that could be listening to something in Tamil, reading or writing in Tamil, or practicing your speaking in Tamil, will help you get better at Tamil. Ideally, if you can practice Tamil a few times a week, that would be great. Next tip, listen and repeat. If you're a complete beginner, you can start off by listening to Tamil content and repeat. The next tip is very important. Incorporate learning Tamil into your daily life. It's better to spend 10 minutes a day, every day, practicing your Tamil than just allocating an hour a week. Next tip, find a Tamil speaker. This might be easier for some and not so easy for others, but having a language buddy will help you immensely in picking up Tamil very quickly. Whether it's a family member, a friend, or a fellow Tamil learner, practicing with a Tamil speaker will help you in your pronunciation in your spoken Tamil. Plus, practicing with someone will help you build up the confidence, which is very important in speaking a language. The next tip may seem obvious, but practice, practice, practice. Tamil is a language, and a language is a skill, and a skill is something that you can get better at by practicing. The more you practice, the better you will get. The importance here is to stay consistent and commit to learning Tamil. My last tip for today would be to have fun. Don't take learning Tamil too serious. Don't stress yourself out about it, and don't put too much pressure on yourself having to be perfect in speaking Tamil. Enjoy the process of learning Tamil, discovering Tamil, as well as the Tamil culture. Immerse yourself in Tamil and enjoy your learning journey. I hope this video has been useful for you. If you're a language learner and you have more tips for us, let us know in the comment section below. If you have any questions on how to get started, again, let us know in the comment section below, or send us a DM on Instagram at the Tamil channel. Check out our website tamillanguagecenter.com for more resources. I'll see you guys next time. Nandri vanakkam.